Together with Manitoba Liquor and Lotteries, Volunteer Manitoba is thrilled for this opportunity to highlight the recipients of the 39th Annual Volunteer Awards. Over the course of the last 2 years, during a global pandemic, volunteers across Manitoba have been a beacon of selflessness and optimism. Whether they were able to continue to volunteer in person or if they made the shift to volunteering virtually, they provided essential services to our most vulnerable citizens, educated and mentored young Manitobans, and supported our frontline healthcare workers. All our volunteers deserve to be recognized for their exceptional show of solidarity and their commitment to the groups, charities, and nonprofit organizations in our province. Together, let's celebrate our volunteers and let them know we appreciate their time and their dedication to the thousands of groups, organizations, and charities here in Manitoba.
Hello, I'm Manny Atwell, and I'm honored to bring greetings on behalf of Manitoba Liquor and Lotteries as a presenting sponsor of the 2022 Volunteer Awards. Once again, we are pleased to partner with Volunteer Manitoba to recognize volunteers from every corner of this province. Over the past year, you've all played an important role in your communities and organizations. These awards are a way of saying thank you for your significant contributions. At Manitoba Liquor and Lotteries, we continue supporting volunteerism through our festival program, events, and charitable organizations. We also work with our partners to facilitate volunteer opportunities for our employees and their families, with everyone sharing stories about their rewarding experience. Now, it is time to recognize and reward all of you. The past few years have been challenging for everyone. It is easy to understand that volunteerism has been significantly impacted by the pandemic. However, it is the strength and kindness shown by volunteers that continues to help us overcome these challenges. We are a stronger province for this reason. Today, you will hear the many stories of people and groups who use their generosity and talents to make a difference, to bring smiles and a positive impact in the lives and communities they touch. To all the nominees and award recipients, thank you for your time and attention and for making our province a better place to live.
The Lieutenant Governor's Community Leadership Award recognizes individuals from across Manitoba for their exceptional contributions to the community through leadership and voluntary service. This year's recipients have played a significant role in identifying a need in the community and motivating others to join them in service for the greater good.
Welcome to the celebration of love for one's community and one's province. Today I'm delighted to join with Volunteer Manitoba in recognizing 3 outstanding Manitobans who have identified needs in their community and then taken steps to meet those needs. May you and the hundreds of thousands of other Manitobans who give their time to help find true joy and profound satisfaction in a worthwhile job well done. So from all of us here to each one of you and to your guests, thank you, merci, miigwech.
Alan Braun is being recognized for his outstanding contribution to several organizations in the city of Portage-la Prairie over the past 30 years. He contributed extensively to the development and growth of the Portage Learning and Literacy Center.
It's a bit overwhelming that someone like myself should be recognized for volunteering. It's something I love to do, something I have done for many years. To be acknowledged for some of that is just a little bit overwhelming. One of the things about volunteering was instilled in me as a young person. My parents volunteered and modeled that for me, but also I am a relatively social person and therefore interact with others, and so volunteering comes fairly normally and naturally for me. The Portage Learning and Literacy Center, when I started with them, it was a one-person organization. It was basically a job finding club, and that has developed into a complete learning center where there's education, employment, and this has been a hidden jewel for Portage-la Prairie. The Portage Assisted Living Corporation. We have been successful to build a 53-unit assisted living program where we provide 2 meals per day, and as well as their living accommodations and activities. I think one of the other things that I would say to someone who's considering whether they should volunteer, it's an opportunity to learn. It's such a wonderful opportunity, and to learn from people that have had some experience, and you will just broaden your life experience as a result of doing that. It helps you as an individual when you volunteer, and it provides something for your community. You benefit and your community benefits.
Daniel Hidalgo is the co-founder and director of Community 204 and one of the founders of Sob Peace Walkers. He has brought together a variety of people who provide support to Indigenous youth and create a safe space for celebrating culture, community, and togetherness.
So I created a platform called Community 204, and our focus is providing the marginalized community with provisions of the basic needs. Things that we all get every single day but often take for granted are things that they're left without. So an example of that is every single Sunday we have an event called Soup for the Soul Sundays, where we provide meals for up to 300 individuals. We have food, we have clothing, we provide hygiene kits for the folks that are out there. We also provide appropriate footwear and winter jackets during our extreme cold weathers too. So just making sure that the people feel safe and that they feel cared for. And one of the biggest things is the opportunity to interact with the people, form those meaningful relationships, and kind of meet them where they're at.
So it seems to me words keep coming up like service, togetherness. Let's get together.
Let's do it. Helping is healing, helping is medicine. When you put yourself in a position to give back to others without the expectation of anything in return, you actually find a way of providing yourself with a deep sense of fulfillment, a deep sense of self-satisfactory, but you're also just doing the right thing. Not only that, but it gives us a chance to really implement some positive structure on these youth. Most of the youth that volunteer with us don't come from the most secure backgrounds or the most positive circumstances. So I grew up in care, and when you grow up in CFS, the biggest thing that you crave are the two most important things are purpose and identity. So that basically means, like, who am I and why am I here? And through that you start developing a longing for a sense of belonging. And so when you don't have those things, you're so incredibly susceptible to negative influences. So I tried to provide the things that I myself needed growing up to those who were in similar circumstances. And so having an identity called Community 204 and a logo and clothing that we all kind of wear and events that are consistent, it provides them with a sense of belonging, a sense of contributing to something bigger than themselves. And then it also correlates with their purpose. Like, I'm here to help simply because I can. A lot of these kids feel that because they come from nothing, they are nothing. And I really want to shift that thinking to understanding that those with lived life experiences can become the greatest individuals.
At 17 years old, Divya Sharma has made a lasting mark on her community and beyond, and her story has only just begun. Divya has consistently demonstrated herself to be an effective community steward and advocate.
When I was very young, I used to serve at a gurdwara, which is sort of a religious institution where people are, given food. And once I saw that people were, helping serve that food, at a very young age, I wanted to carry like these really heavy baskets of food and like give people. Since then, I've almost had this like passion to really serve people. So in India, what giving back means is seva. Seva means giving back without expecting anything in return. And when I came here, I was wrapped around this idea of volunteering. And as I grew and grew, I got connected with different institutions, whether that was through CanU, Rotary, the Winnipeg Foundation, and so many others. So that journey has carried me through to where I am today. I had the opportunity to have these volunteer experiences, whether that was through student council or clubs like Youth and Philanthropy, Rotary, and this often involved really connecting with people, which was incredibly special. Sort of talking to people and that connection piece there, and really asking them the questions like what matters to them, why would they want to support this cause, talking to them. It's such a crucial sort of act of giving back, and it not only makes you feel positive, but it has a positive impact on the community. You get to have that trust-based relationship, and people look up to you. They see you and they see the great work that you're doing, and you get to go home with that feeling, and you get to go home with those values and implement it in your day-to-day life. You'll see the changes and the better person that it brings out in you. So if you're thinking of volunteering, especially as a young person, it's an incredible opportunity to get connected and really work on a better version of yourself.
The Manitoba Liquor and Lotteries Community Changemakers Award promotes group volunteer efforts across Manitoba and recognizes an outstanding community group that has dedicated their time and resources to giving back to Manitobans. This year's recipient is the Days for Girls Winnipeg chapter, and accepting the award on its behalf is Marty Newton. The Days for Girls Winnipeg chapter is a group of volunteers who make and distribute reusable feminine hygiene kits. To date, the Winnipeg chapter volunteers have made and distributed 4,087 kits around the world.
I sew for the Manitoba chapter of Days for Girls, and it's part of a worldwide volunteer organization that provides reusable feminine hygiene kits to girls and women in underprivileged countries.
On behalf of the Manitoba Liquor and Lotteries, to present the Winnipeg chapter for Days for Girls with the Community Change Makers Award. So congratulations.
Thank you very much. The girls and women don't go to work or school when they have their periods. They just don't have products to use. I mean, they would use newspaper, mattress stuffing, leaves, even rocks. The kit comes in a drawstring bag, and it includes 2 shields and 8 liners that would fit into the pockets of the shield, and then it snugs around their underwear. When girls or women, they don't go to school or to work without sanitary products, they are missing out in that time. So by us supplying the kits to them, they don't miss. It's nice meeting other people, sort of getting inspired, getting new ideas. It's lots of fun to be with people who enjoy doing what you do, and I love sewing and I love working with my hands. So it's nice sharing that time. I volunteer if I have an expertise and I want to share it with other people. The change that I'd like to see within the community would be awareness, and then just some education about it. I think in Canada we have a pretty good life, and it's quite shocking what other people experience and go through.
The Premier's Volunteer Service Awards were established to honor the efforts and dedication of outstanding volunteers in Manitoba and recognize and encourage the valuable service performed by volunteers throughout the province.
Thank you for everything that you do to make our communities better. Each of you have given your time, your effort, your energy, and your commitment to something that's greater than yourselves. And for that, we thank you. These are the values that make our province a national leader in volunteerism. Volunteers are truly the backbone of Manitoba, and you deserve to be proud of everything that you have accomplished.
Cheryl Antonio has volunteered for more than 20 organizations in the PAW Manitoba, from daycares to 4-H to the arts.
Some of the rewards that you get from being a volunteer are seeing people getting something out of what you've been giving to them. All of your work is worthwhile when it's a success, when you see happy faces and when you see people getting something out of what you're putting out for them. I think that's the highlight for me, is when people go home feeling good and feeling happy. I've been motivated to volunteer A couple different ways. My parents were big volunteers as I was growing up, and I saw that and I lived through that, and I respected that, and it became important to me and a value for me. And then as I started my own family and was getting interested in enrolling my children into different types of activities, I realized that there was a cost factor that not everybody in the community would be able to bear. Working through the school division, working around a lot of different families, I realized that barrier-free activities and events are super important. And that was something that I started to work towards so that everybody in the community could have something that would benefit them. That's a big part of why I volunteer. The PAW is an outstanding community for volunteers. People like to step up and help and participate in these feel-good opportunities, and that makes me really proud to live in the PAW. Volunteering in a smaller community is so important to keep our town sustainable. We need to work together, we need to communicate, we need to make each other feel good, and living in the PAW, we see that happening all the time, and people pull together. This is one of the best communities I've seen come together when there are tragedies, when somebody else needs help, and we're making it an even better place to live. And that's what I love about volunteering here.
Danny Boyko is an active member of his community and dedicated to improving the circumstances of its members. He has volunteered tirelessly over the years, investing his personal time for the service of the nonprofit organizations and the community.
Originally, I volunteered with the For Life Foundation, which is now changed to Hurt No More, and now to Go Create It. That connection led to, and that was mentoring of youth through sports with the Winnipeg Blue Bombers and the Winnipeg Police Service during lunch hours at schools. We dealt with about 1,000, 2,000 students a month in a bunch of inner city schools. Now it's Brands for Canada. And Brands for Canada, basically what they do is they go to different companies and they grab clothing, shoes, anything that's gonna end up in landfills, and they actually get donations from those companies and distribute it. So when I went down to Toronto, they were a Toronto charity and exclusively in Toronto, and I said, well, we have great need in Winnipeg and I'd love to get some of that stuff. Started small. When I say small, it means, half a semi-trailer full, which I guess isn't small. And then now we're probably averaging $150,000 to $200,000 every couple months of donations. We brought in probably 7,000 brand new high-end suits. And now you can go out and you can go to a job interview and you don't have to walk in and wonder if you're dressed appropriately or wonder if what impression you're making or feel you need to excuse what you're wearing because you don't have the money to pay for it. That's wrong. I want to see equity. I want to see more people having the opportunity to get those positions and those jobs. I want to see families that feel comfortable and not embarrassed to mention life circumstances so they can be helped more easily. I think for me, it's seeing the faces light up. Seeing that look on someone's face when they come up and they tell me, hey, listen, I have Christmas gifts for my kids for the first time in several years, or this is my first new purse, or I haven't had a new pair of shoes ever. Like, that kind of stuff really touches you. What I've learned, and kind of through life and that as well, is, I teach my kids respect and empathy, but empathy first and foremost, because if you don't understand how somebody's feeling and can't feel that in yourself, then you're lost. And people don't choose life circumstance, people are thrust into those life circumstances. So for me, it's being able to give somebody something so they can get that start.
Terumi Cuada, she has contributed significantly by bringing her multicultural expertise to organizations such as the United Way, the Folk Arts Council of Winnipeg, and the Manitoba Law Foundation.
When my parents were sent to Winnipeg from the internment camp in BC, the community required a lot of building. My father helped build the Manitoba Buddhist Church, and together, having experienced the internment camp, the community was ready to come together and build a place where everybody was involved, where everybody felt safe, and where we had joy. And from there, it brought me so many other places as an adult to volunteer. I think it's about 16 organizations that I can say I was been affiliated with over the last 35 years. All terrific organizations and wonderful people. I think one of the things that I've always thought of is a quote that by Margaret Mead that says, never doubt the work and commitment of a small group of people to make a difference in society. So I think the benefits of being a volunteer is that you're contributing to a better society, one that is fair and equal to all. I think of making a difference for people who often don't have a voice, for people who are vulnerable, for marginalized communities, and for people who need support. And I think that is an important part of being a volunteer, is that you are part of something that is going to make a difference in society. In the last about 12 years, I've been doing a lot of work with the Islamic Social Services. And they have been subject to so much hate and discrimination and prejudice. And Islamophobia is such a traumatic issue for so many. And I would like to see in the future, for our children, for our grandchildren, a society that is fair and equal to all, and that has understanding for each other and creating a kinder and gentler world for all of us. I'm so grateful that as an individual, I've been able to volunteer and maintain an active participation. But I have to acknowledge that with the support of friends and family, it has been so much easier to do this work. Nobody gets by in life without the help of others, whether that's your family, your friends, or the people you volunteer with. It just adds to your life.
Rakesh Patel has been a tremendous role model to countless immigrants arriving in Brandon. Since 2001, he has helped more than 30 families settle there through the Manitoba Provincial Nominee Program. He has volunteered to assist with many challenges that new immigrants face, such as language barriers and access to housing and local services. In addition, he has helped many with employment by identifying job opportunities. Most importantly, he has helped to avoid the isolation that many immigrants feel by working with a cultural organization that brings people together to preserve Indian heritage. Emily Kalo has been volunteering to recruit blood donors with the Next Gen Lifeline program since 2015. She onboards and trains new members, manages all social media accounts, works with other members to brainstorm and create new initiatives, plans special events, and increases awareness about the importance of donating blood, a critical need in our community.
I'm a science student, and in high school I was really passionate about the subject of science, and my mom actually knew a friend who had a kid in Denver who was in need of a stem cell transplant, and she would speak to me and my sister about it and really just speak about how unfortunate it is that there is this life-saving treatment, but there's not enough people who are aware of it or who are on the registry and can help. So from that, my sister and I actually decided to start a stem cell drive at our school and initiate people to sign up for the registry. We reached out to Canadian Blood Services for support on that, and they were so wonderful. They really allowed us to explore that passion and run that event while also just supporting us and giving us the resources and advice that we needed to make it successful. And from there, it was just such an easy transition to blood donation. There are so many rewards of volunteering. Specifically with Canadian Blood Services, every single minute that you spend there, you're truly helping someone's life and potentially saving their life. Needing blood it's a universal need. It affects all of us. So to be able to donate any amount of time, whether it's 1 hour or a couple of hours in a day, you know you're really contributing to improving someone else's life and hopefully making a positive change. Volunteering, I feel like, has always been a part of my life. It was something my mom really instilled in my sister and I, and at school it was really always taught as just something that we do for each other and to help out one another. I remember specifically in preschool, we would bake challah or bread on Fridays and usually donate a loaf or as many loaves as we made to the community. And I think that that was where I first fell in love with the concept of volunteering. I think through volunteering, it's really just about creating a better sense of unity, especially in today's world. We're so divided on so many different topics and concepts in our society, but it's important to remember what does unify us, and that, but in light of our differences, we can still find ways to connect with one another and share in one another's struggles and successes. So through volunteering, I really hope that we can take a step back from all those differences and just realize that we're stronger together. It is such a phenomenal way to feel fulfilled as an individual, but also in that broader sense. And it's such an easy way to make friends. You're gonna meet incredible people who really are driven and ambitious and kind.
Parker Peltier has been volunteering since he was 3 years old. Over the past 3 years, Parker has been an advocate for the business communities of the city of Selkirk, RM of St. Andrews, RM of St. Clements, and West St. Paul by partnering his time with Selkirk and District Chamber of Commerce, better known as the Selkirk Biz.
Hello, I'm Parker Peltier with the BizBucks gift card program brought to you by the Selkirk Biz. Our community and business leaders are working hard to keep everyone safe during the pandemic. I volunteer with the Selkirk Biz and the BizBucks program. I also help with fundraising money for the Terry Fox Foundation. Every year there is a Terry Fox Foundation, and whoever donates the most money gets a prize. And this year I got to pieing someone in the face. My gym teacher, Mr. Roja. He sets up everything. Basically a day where you don't work. You basically just have fun all day. We actually smash it in his face. It honestly makes you feel good, and you honestly get to help your community. You could give money to a homeless person, and that could make their day because they could get something to eat. And if you help other people, the person you helped may help other person, and may even help you if you need some help. Have a great summer, and remember to think local first and shop local.
In response to visitor restrictions that came about during the pandemic, Health Sciences Center created the Family Liaison program. The volunteers in this special program helped patients and their support networks connect while in the intensive care units.
Well, the Family Liaison program is basically a liaison between the patients and the nursing staff. So basically what we do there is we would help facilitate video calls with patients and their families. We do that through the Family Liaison program at the Health Sciences Center and kind of take that load off the staff, especially during times like COVID. With lockdown, you're stuck in your home, you kind of feel a little bit isolated. So I think that the Family Liaison program really gave me an opportunity to go back into the world when it was really difficult times and give back and try to help the community during COVID. I know it was very tough for a lot of people, but especially for people with family and loved ones in the ICU, and they weren't able to come in and visit. So it was really rewarding to see, you know, the faces light up of families when they're able to see their loved ones, even if it was through an iPad on FaceTime or through Zoom.
The Hotarian Brethren Friends have been strong supporters of Siloam Mission for years. In many aspects, they care for and support the Siloam community as they do their own colonies. The food they donate and the goods they bake not only provide sustenance for the Siloam community, but also hope and acknowledge that each and every individual who comes through the doors at Siloam are seen.
There's a variety of organizations we work with, as spread out all over Manitoba. And wherever the colonies are, locally they help out a lot in different ways, be it tornadoes, disasters, MCC, Christian Aid Ministries, or I remember that sometimes we took food to them or we went to help them when they were in need of helping out on the farm. And then it sort of grew, and from there on it started reaching out into different parts of the world. It also set a pattern and opened the doors for the church as a whole, that we ended up going to Africa, to Romania, to different parts of the world, out into the mission field. For instance, my wife and myself, we've been in Africa about 8 times in 30 years. What motivates myself and others is because of having Christian faith. And within that, we find a lot that it is requested of us to be compassionate to the less fortunate, to the needy, to homeless. What I would like to see change is more equality amongst mankind, so that difference between the rich and the poor disappears. Now, if more of our people would take that direction, I think there would be less evil in this world than there is. I would tell people that it is part of just being human, and it's important that when we see people in need, to be able to reach out, to help. The blessings that we have and feel and experience ourselves, pass it on to others.
The CTV Champion of Mental Health Volunteer Award is presented by CTV Winnipeg to a volunteer who represents a commitment to challenging the stigma around mental health, provide supports or services to those living with mental health issues, and improve outcomes for well-being. This year's recipient is Lisa Van Den Hoven, who is being recognized for her work with Inspire Community Outreach. Lisa has donated thousands of hours serving Inspire through volunteerism and the impact she has had on the organization and the countless hours she has given in clinical support as a facilitator, a researcher, and now in operations are just a few of the reasons she is receiving this award today. In each role and throughout her life, she has been and is a leader, inviting others to see their strength.
It almost feels necessary to volunteer. It feels I have a compulsion. It's very hard for me to see people in trouble and then just be like, that's fine, and continue on. People need support and they need help and they need access to social services and they need connection to their community. And almost all of my volunteer positions and volunteer work that I've done over the years has really been about connecting people to positive relationships and good information so that they can make good decisions for themselves.
That's great, thank you, and congratulations.
Okay. If it gets broken before you get home,
it's not like a you break it, you bought it type situation. It starts with compassion and sort of comforting people and meeting them like human to human, but then also making sure that they have what they need and can kind of live their best life. You can volunteer in so many different ways. What are you good at? You know, are you good at computer programming? There's someone out there that needs you to do that for them for free. So if you feel like volunteering, you can do that as a volunteer job. You can volunteer as an accountant. You can volunteer as doing video editing. And there's lots of really good causes. So if you think about, oh, I care about this and I'm good at that, and you put those things together, you can pretty much come up with a volunteer position that's tailor-made for you.
The Association of Manitoba Municipalities Community Leadership Award honors individuals and groups who donate their time to advance community-driven, innovative, and sustainable solutions to their municipality's most pressing challenges. Brian Duncalf has been volunteering with Meals on Wheels in the PAW for over 25 years. Over the years, he has harnessed the community to pitch in and help when needed, and he estimates he has delivered some 25,000 meals to people in the community.
When I first started with the organization, we had all months covered by service groups, so that would be the Rotarians, the Kinsmen, church groups. But over the years, as we all know, there are fewer and fewer volunteers, and we had actually lost quite a few of the groups, unfortunately. So it's just harder to get meals to the people. I luckily was able to do it. When I moved back to the PAW 30 years ago and started working for Meals on Wheels. One of the board members had called up and asked if I would come and help. I wanted to deliver a meal a week is what it started with, and they ended up putting me on the board. It was really important. The meals were prepared by the hospital. You'd pick them up, take them, drop them off, have a quick chat with everybody, and then continue on your day.
Thank you.
No, let's officially give this to you. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Fantastic.
Perfect. But this isn't just me, it's all the groups. It's the Kinsmen, it's Rotary, it's the church groups, it's all of my friends that have had to jump in at the last minute to deliver a meal because somebody's forgotten or I haven't been able to do it. They're all part of this. So it's not just thanks to me, it's thanks to everybody that's here today. Thank you.
The thing that's probably troubling everywhere is the lack of volunteers nowadays. And I don't know if that's because they're too busy with working 2 jobs or they've got kids or whatever the reason is, but we're just losing volunteers. I was able to draw my sister in to come and help out when we were doing the fundraisers. She loved coming out and doing that. I have a niece who is volunteering a lot up in Flin Flon right now. She works for UCN and she is on every board there is possibly to be on up in Flin Flon. So yeah, I'm proud that she's taking after her uncle.
The Barb Gamel Catalyst Award for Excellence in Volunteer Management recognizes the ability to inspire and influence volunteers, community partners, and colleagues. It's at the core of being a leader of volunteers and is critical to the success of every volunteer program. This year, we are recognizing Spencer Martin for his work with the volunteer team at the OCD Center of Manitoba. Spencer started working with the OCD Center Manitoba as a volunteer, worked his way up to lead facilitator, and is now the community educator for the organization.
So I work at the OCD Center Manitoba. We've been in existence for something like 20 years, but we've recently partnered with the CMHA, the Canadian Mental Health Association, the Manitoba and Winnipeg branch. We run support groups for both OCD and hoarding disorder. And those groups vary. We're not really doing the traditional support groups where people kind of sit around and talk to each other. We have action groups and goal groups, so we actually promote goal setting and check in with people on how they're doing with that. So my role is officially titled community educator, but it has a lot of components to it. So I do intakes for everybody who comes into our programs. I hire the volunteers, I train the volunteers, so everyone there is motivated to be there and everybody has experiences that they can bring to the table, which you don't always get in paid employment where some people are just there for the paycheck.
Congratulations, Spencer. I just want to say what a innovative, committed, energetic individual you've been, and I know that I'm sure OCD Center is thrilled to have you working with their volunteers. All the best.
Thank you very much, Barb. What motivates me is just getting to see people change over time. I'm really interested in learning and growth and goal setting, so because I'm leading the programming, I'll make groups that are based on goal setting for exercise or nutrition, rather than just strictly working on symptoms of a certain disorder. And what I really like about that is it keeps me motivated and keeps me passionate and interested in what we're doing, because I actually can set goals as well that align with what other people are doing. So I get to also work on myself while I'm doing it. I would say to volunteers or potential volunteers that just go into it with an open mind and try to find something that works for you. I definitely went into it just looking to get experience because I was doing a psychology degree and interested in a future career in that area. But what I found is that once I actually got into it, I grew more interested in it as I went. The change that I want to see in my community, I think really focus on making mental health a human right.
The mayor of the City of Winnipeg recognizes deserving individuals or community groups with the Mayor's Volunteer Service Awards. These awards were created to honor individuals, agencies, and organizations that have made outstanding contributions to the City of Winnipeg through their volunteer service.
Winnipeggers
have an incredible reputation as generous, optimistic, hardworking people who are absolutely committed together to making a positive impact in the community. Volunteerism is often referred to as really the root of building strong communities, and I think that is amplified in Winnipeg, where our volunteerism rates and our charitable giving is so strong. I want to say thank you for your commitment to our community, for helping to make Winnipeg a stronger community for us and for our kids. Your volunteer activities are really a form of public service.
Rob Grabowski was looking for something to keep him busy in retirement when he stumbled upon the Winnipeg Repair Education and Cycling Hub. Rob is a keen volunteer who loves the work and the people, and he's picked up the mechanic stuff fairly quickly. Now, 11 years later, both he and the organization are better for it.
Well, you get to see people smiling, going away with bikes that they could never have afforded themselves, or because we make cost not an object, we can substitute volunteer time, so we get lots of people on bikes. I was a machinist for many, many years, and I've retired, and I found the wrench as a place keeps me busy. It's very satisfying when you can take something that somebody has thrown away, and then you see somebody riding away with a smile on their face. I'd like to see more people on bikes. It's accessible for everyone. We've seen a lot of the immigrant and refugee population come through us. We speak bike. We don't speak their language a lot of times, but a lot of times they'll bring people that can help us translate. Everybody understands what a bicycle is. Some people have never ridden one, so it's kind of fun to even teach adults how to bike. We also do that. We teach them how to fix their bikes. The wrench actually stands for Winnipeg Repair Education and Cycling Hub. It is great because a lot of people my age have disparaging opinions about younger people. And the people I see, the younger people, everybody that volunteers there has excellent life goals, good work skills, they all get along. And they're socially conscious. Like they love what they do. It shows.
Caroline Josephson is a retired grade 9 social studies teacher and a volunteer with the Immigrant Center. Caroline's motivation has always been giving back to her community and contributing to a cause she considers to be important and worthy.
I'm volunteering. You're meeting people, new people all the time. And I find that I just love doing that. It's so easy and relaxing, and I just really like that. I really like to give back. I've had, I have lots of energy, I've had lots of experiences. I like to go to places especially where you can just be gentle and be helpful and make somebody's day better. So that's one of the reasons I like to do it. I love all the different cultures in the city. So when you can do something like go into the Immigrant Center and meet people from all over the world and maybe do a little bit to make their stay here better, I find that very rewarding. The fact that you meet these people and you can tell instantly they're every bit as bright as you and as willing to work as you. And my wish would be that everyone would know that and would just recognize that they were as equal or better than lots of people that grew up here all the time. There's so many different places you can volunteer. So that would be my first thing. Think about what you really like to do. Because, you can volunteer at Assiniboine Park doing some planting. You can volunteer in One Just City all around. You can volunteer, working with Christmas Cheer Board. There's so many opportunities. I think the first thing is, what is it that you like, that gives you pleasure, that makes you smile? And then go on the website, Volunteer Opportunities in Manitoba, and search it. And then don't be afraid to phone, because they're always glad that somebody's interested in volunteering.
Goday Katembo is the president and founder of the Manitoba African Cup of Nations, which uses soccer as a safe space for children to continuously grow and develop into inspired young adults with unlimited possibilities for the future that lies ahead.
So originally I'm from the Republic Democratic of Congo, but because of war, my family, we flee from Congo, and we were refugees in Uganda for about 6 years in a refugee camp before moving to Canada in 2009. We came in December, landing here in Winnipeg, and we came with our African wear. We didn't know what we're expecting, right? We're wearing our summer clothes with our sandals in -40 outside, right? And it was through the volunteers that really helped us to give us jackets, help us to, how to take a bus, teach us how to go to groceries, and all of those things. So when I look again at this great nation of Canada and what volunteers are doing in this country, I don't know. I don't know how to say it. And the least that I can do is say, let me be a part of that great cause in one way or another. The African Cup of Nations, it's a non-profit organization that, again, based in Winnipeg, in Manitoba, and our vision really was to see on how we can unite communities from African descent together. But we thought of one thing that really can bring all of us together, and it's sports. I always say this, it's a language that we, as all human beings, can understand. Many of our international students, many of the newcomers as refugees, we come here with no families. And sometimes you come and you don't know nobody. Now we have created this wonderful community where you can be from anywhere and you're able to connect with other people. First of all, I would like to encourage people, especially from my community, to get involved in volunteering. Canada is great today because of wonderful volunteers in all areas, from school, from sports, from any institution, because there's wonderful volunteers. And if you're a newcomer, or just you're an immigrant or refugee, you are looking ways to connect and to meet great people, I always say volunteering is the best way to do it.
Nadia Nadal Michaluk has been a dedicated volunteer with Age and Opportunity since 1993, when she heard about an opportunity to volunteer as a friendly visitor and decided to apply.
It makes me feel happy to help the seniors and just to listen to them. They're in desperate need of love. When they would get sick, I would go visit them to the hospitals too. I don't have to visit them at the hospital, but I do, and they appreciate it. The first time I was excited to meet them, and there was one lady that she didn't want any volunteers to come, but she was Ukrainian, and I told her that my name is Nadia, and she said, "Oh, my daughter was Nadia." So since then, she wanted me to come and visit her. I would like to see more volunteers because they need our help, support, and love very badly. Just go and try it. It makes you happy, and it'll make them happy just to see you, just to give them a smile and give them a hug, and just listen to their stories. And it fills your heart with happiness.
Since her arrival in Canada more than 50 years ago, Dr. Sandra Sukun service to her community has been consistent. She currently serves on the board of Pembina Active Living, and she was instrumental in finding PAL 55+, a home in the White Ridge Community Center, by collaborating with the municipal, provincial, and federal levels of government to provide the necessary supports and programming for older adults.
So I come from a very interesting family where my dad was Hindu, my mother was Muslim, we were raised as Christians. I know that sounds very complicated, but that was our life. What that taught us is really to be accepting of people's belief systems, of people who are different from you, people who are similar to you, and really learning from that. Volunteerism has always been a part of my life. As long as I can remember, I probably was a 5-year-old child in school helping a blind man sell his cookies and his
sugar cakes and things like that. I was very athletic at the time, but would spend all my recesses giving up my games at recess to sit with him to make sure that he was collecting his money and that no one was there to cheat him. So it's always been a part of my life. For me, it was really an intrinsic reward. Sometimes my schedule is really busy, and I'm sure my husband probably thinks I probably shouldn't be taking on this much, but it's the need to feel like things need to get done, and it's not sufficient to just say they need to get done, but to contribute to that goal of getting them done. Volunteering should be kind of not something you think about, it's just something you do. It should be a part of your life. It's like saying I do diversity, I live diversity. You live your life like that, you're part of something bigger. You're one piece of something much bigger than you.
The RBC Bright Future Award, established in partnership with Volunteer Manitoba, recognizes individuals or groups who have volunteered their time to help youth overcome barriers and prepare for success in their future careers. This year's Volunteer Award recipient is Shasta Benaim, who is being recognized for her work with the Legal Help Center of Winnipeg. The center is a place where those without lawyers can get help to address their legal matters, all at no charge.
I got my start as a law student at an externship, and that transitioned into volunteer as a lawyer. And now I sit on the board for the Legal Help Center of Winnipeg. So it just shows that there's transition. It's just that you got to start volunteering somewhere. We provide an array of legal services. It could be from mentorship for law students who are providing services to clients who are maybe disadvantaged or can't afford legal services. Provide assistance with drafting and document preparation, as well as representation for individuals who are looking for services through legal aid. I don't want this to be about me. I want this to be about people learning more about the Legal Help Center of Winnipeg because it is such an underutilized service. Because sometimes you feel like you're alone, but when you have the support of people who have heard your story and they've listened to you, sometimes that's all some people need. They just need someone to listen. And when you get people that fall through the cracks who don't have access to legal services, no one is there to hear their story.
On behalf of RBC, I am proud to present with you the RBC Bright Future Award of 2022.
I never considered even like having any recognition because it was just something I did for all this time, and to have it be recognized is like, it's awesome.
I've had a lot of people say, hey, you're a lawyer, I automatically don't trust you. And that's tough to hear because you're trying to do something good. You're in a helping profession. You're not in a profession to hurt people. One of my favorite stories was a law student that we were assisting. She was going to be appearing in court before a judge, and she was super nervous. The client she was helping, she really wanted to do a good job. And when she went in front of the judge, she rocked it. She did so great. And the client was so happy, and she has that experience now. So that's one of the things that I find is best is the empowerment aspect.
The Spark Outstanding Pro Bono Consultant Award was created to recognize a volunteer who has shown themselves to be a leader in the community, providing pro bono services to Winnipeg's community development and community economic development organizations. This year's recipient, Julie Gray, is being recognized for her work assisting Save Our Sane with pro bono professional human resources services to develop a respectful workplace policy.
I usually volunteer with the United Way Spark program. Spark is a really great way to volunteer when it works for me. So I like that because I'm really busy. I can do a Spark match where it's a project, it's clearly defined, I can fit it into my day. So you go in, you meet with the United Way team, and they get to know you, what your skill set is, and then they also meet with not-for-profit organizations that are in need of professional help, and they introduce you, and they put out a project, and you can decide if that's something you want to do. Well, I've always really enjoyed the habitat builds. I got my own steel-toe boots. And I have my Jimmy Carter t-shirt that I still wear all the time. So I really enjoyed seeing people come together in that way. I think a really early memory would be in the flood of '97, because I lived in St. Agath, and just seeing our whole community come together, sandbagging and just seeing that connection. It's more than any paid gig you can have. For me, the rewards for volunteering is that I can make an impact in my community based on the skill set that I have. So just seeing that look of gratitude and appreciation, it's great. I just really appreciate that, and so yeah, I'm hooked on it.
We're most fortunate that you agreed to take on this Spark assignment. Thank you, Julie, for the valuable services you provided.
The change I want to see in my community through volunteer work is people, I think, reflecting on the skill sets that they have and seeing how it fits into that community. I mean, time is such a limited resource for so many. You can feel like, how do you fit that in? But I think there's different ways to look at volunteering. It could be online. It could be on your own time. It could be an hour here and there. And there's so many different ways that you can volunteer these days. And even speaking to your local community centers, opportunities are kind of everywhere. And it doesn't have to be a big lift if you don't need it to be or if you don't want it to be. So just being open-minded for how you can help in your community.
Arts and cultural organizations play a significant role in the health, well-being, and connection of Manitobans. That is why Volunteer Manitoba created the William Norrie Arts and Culture Volunteer Award. This year's recipient, G Vaughn Mistry, is being recognized for the incredible contributions he has made to the Gujarati Cultural Society of Manitoba.
The Gujarati Cultural Society of Manitoba was established in 1978 by the volunteers in Manitoba, and at that time they formed a school as well, Gujarati School of Language and Cultures, and I ended up being there for the last 40 years doing cultural program, camp coordinator, program coordinator, key program coordinator. I did lots of activities which the regular students will enjoy, what they were doing in the regular school, and implemented into in a language school.
Oh. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
You do not need to step out.
Thank you very much. I mean, people talk a lot about you on the community, but when it comes from the student themselves and the teachers, that is our reward. Because that is biggest reward when you see your community, children are getting together and students are getting together. They're in university now, and also they are still friends, and they are out of the province and they still talk about us. Without language, there's no culture. And without culture, there's no life in people, because they have to have some kind of a culture in their life. That is entertainment for themselves. But volunteering is very satisfying to yourself. You feel good, because any kind of volunteer, people can volunteer in churches if they want, if they're interested. If they can volunteer with their children's school, they can join in with the activities, everything. And no matter where you volunteer, it has to come from your own heart, and you have to feel good about it. If you don't feel good about volunteering, then no use volunteering, because you will not do a good job. But the day you say that I'm volunteering, say in a soup kitchen, and then you take that soup kitchen to be your own self, like this is mine, I'm helping, I'm doing it for myself, then you'll do a good job.
A big congratulations to all of this year's nominees and recipients. On behalf of Volunteer Manitoba, thank you for tuning in and helping us celebrate the recipients of the 39th Annual Volunteer Awards.